Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
We're going to be shy about talking some of these things because let's go ahead and do it. If it's happening, we'll talk about it right here. And to then be able to help us in that conversation, two ladies will join us this morning. At some point, Hezena Lemetian will join us. She's a nominated senator, but who is here is the executive director of Badili Africa. My good friend Bina Maseno is here with us this morning. Bina, good morning.
Good morning and Happy New Year. I don't know when we stop saying Happy New Year, especially if you haven't seen someone for a while.
14th of February. We have the
oh my
answer.
God!
Yeah.
Yani, the way it was just a universal.
Yeah.
Like, what? Did you guys agree that on air?
Because that is the new holiday. No one would say yes. After 14,
I see. Yeah?
achana nayo. Unless it's your birthday.
I see what
Yes.
you mean.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you
I'm
for
very
coming.
glad to be
Karibu.
here to discuss matters that are very, very close to my heart. Yes.
We're glad that you've come. And we're expecting the good senator to join us as well.
Yes,
because I think she can give some light into some of these things that we talk about. Because that's a very big title there, isn't it? Threats, intimidation, and violence. It does seem as though it's in the doggy bin for some of these things. But we'll get into that in just a minute.
Yes.
We wanted to interpret our proverb for today.
Yes.
Okay.
Dennis is going to share.
Today we're in Botswana. Yeah, a land full of diamonds, right? But the diamonds that they have is actually invested back into schools there.
The diamonds that they have?
They sell their diamonds, right? And the profits they get, they invest that into the education, because for a country to grow, you need to have an education that is working for your children,
It's
right?
important.
Yeah, and the country is also covered. 70% of it is a desert. Kalahari Desert is there. But you look at, just juxtapose that together with the fact that they have the highest number of population of elephants in the world, 130,000 elephants.
Oh, wow.
Yes, but let's go to the proverb. A child can pass through a lion's hole. A child can pass through a lion's hole. How would you interpret it? And don't overthink it.
A child can pass through
A lion's hole.
a lion's hole. I think how I would interpret it, given where I'm at right now, is I look at all we went through as children and we survived. Like the same conditions that folks right now cannot survive. Like I don't know how we survived. Even with parents who couldn't cover 3 meals and we were so happy.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we survived, but we made it. Like we made it. And like those days when we were in school, it was those days when you even used to, to tend to the farm for the school. You even used to take food for the rabbits. Like there was so much that was happening at that particular time. So I remember in the morning before you get to school, you had to collect like a skuma wiki, then you take it to school. Like we used to clean our own classes. You just didn't used to turn up. And I just look at how polished we are right now. And I'm like, how did we survive that? Because I can't even have my child go through that right now.
You wouldn't
I'll just
imagine.
be probably protesting. I'm like, why are they
much
carrying
work.
food for rabbits? They're supposed to be studying,
Yeah.
That's how I'd look at it.
Yeah. And that's the perfect interpretation. You know,
Yeah.
it's what you go through, but look at where Mama we made it.
Yeah.
Like we jumped so many,
Hurdles. Yeah.
very many loops.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, okay. And even that, speaking about folks who are jumping through the hoops, is a lot of women in leadership and getting into these positions. Listen, I can't tell you how difficult it is. And I'm going to start from, I know you might want to shoot me, but it's okay. It's necessary for the conversation. I cannot tell you how difficult it is to get women to come and sit in these chairs and have conversations with us about things that matter.
Okay.
And we also saying that it is absolutely necessary for women to be in positions of leadership. I cannot tell you the struggle that we go through to say, well, do you believe in this? And somebody in the background will say, yes, I do. But then come and tell people what you feel, what you believe, and why you feel as though you could be the person that sits in that position. You see my dilemma?
I do.
How can we transfer the desire in your head as a woman to be in a position of leadership if you cannot express that desire in the way in which men do? Men just, they will say, they'll come, where do you want me to go? I'll go. What time? I'll be there. And I know we long use the excuse of, well, we have children. No. Why? Let's start there. Before we go to the issues of how difficult the terrain is to navigate for women into political leadership, let's go from the attitude of why is it so hard for us to engage?
I think even when we go to the attitudes, we still have to look at the arena where we find ourselves, especially as women who are passionate about changing the political scene. Because, like sometimes when we start talking about these things, it sounds like a personal complaint, but it's not a personal complaint, because politics, it's the way politics is structured, and it's structured around money, it's structured around networks, it's structured around gatekeeping, it's structured around informal brokers, it's structured around intimidation. And those structures many a times shut women out, And I think it's important to start there, because then that shapes sometimes who you have to become to navigate an arena that is structured that way and that is not structured with you in mind. Because if you're in a race where you're starting 50 meters behind and your shoes have stones and you're supposed to run as fast, and then the outside world is looking at you and wondering, but why are you not running faster? But they don't even know like the stones that are in your shoe, the shoe probably doesn't even fit well, but they'll be saying, hey, but you're on the road, just run, and they're not investigating what is delaying you. I think it's important to look at that. But it's that also when it comes to politics, and what I have seen, and even from our experience at Badili Africa, we often track women who run and win in politics. But the way leadership is structured, people play different roles. And the reason we even have very few women in office currently, and our research has even shown that, because we recently released a book that is just talking about exactly what you're saying, is that we invest on just an individual and not the infrastructure around them. Yeah, because politician or a leader or a candidate is just not a name on the ballot, is an institution on the ballot. When I run for office, I need you, maybe to be part of my campaign team. I need the mobilizers, I need the strategists, I need the campaigners, I need security. I need a whole ecosystem of people, but they always just depend on one person, or they empower one person to face off with the whole of the system. So if I'm saying that politics is structured around money, intimidation, informal brokers, they expect one individual or one woman to face off with that whole system. And when you fail, people are wondering, what happened to you? But it's just you against so many other things, yeah? So I think there's that. But then when you talk about attitudes, I think we have the right attitude. We are showing up. We're showing up when it matters. But then, is the system ready for us? Are the people ready for us? Because where I'm at, and I just want to just give this anecdote, the seed is not the problem. The soil is. Because if the soil is toxic, even the most strongest of plants will choke if the soil is toxic.
So one then would ask the question, with the soil being the problem, are we as Kenyans ready for women leadership? Because there is what the Constitution says, there is aspirations that we as Kenyans gave to ourselves through the Constitution, but have we re-engineered our thinking about leadership to say, perhaps it's about time that we voted for women, not because they are women, but because they are leaders who can deliver to us. Because most of the time, you find, even in these positions, talk about appointment, it is more of a warrior situation because it's a woman. Not because this is, apart from being a woman, is someone who can sit at the table and deliver. Have we re-engineered ourselves to stop looking at a woman as a woman, but as someone who equally can perform like other peers?
I'll say this, and again, this is data and research. most women who show up to run for political office are very, very competent. Because also data shows us that majority of the women who get into political spaces are professional women or career women. Like people resign to get into politics, but most men who get into politics are, are in business, are entrepreneurs. Yeah, that is one. But now even the younger women who get into politics, they have like, they've been doing community work, they've been doing something, they're just not waiting to run for political office. They probably finished school, they've been running a youth project, or they've been supporting somewhere, or they have been volunteering somewhere. And the problem is, if the ground is not level so that you can interact with me the same way you would interact with a man, then there's a problem. Because, so let me just give you practical examples. Let's say 2, yeah? So I'm supposed to come and meet you at a rally, but I'm already afraid about my security, because for a woman going into a rally, you not only fear being beaten, you fear being groped, you fear being touched, you fear being raped. A man is not going to the same rally with your fears that, what if I get raped in that rally? What if someone spanks me or gropes me? They're not going with that fear. They're just showing up.
Truly, Bina, that's what we're talking about. That's the reality.
That's the reality. That's the reality. But you are showing up like that, So that already disadvantages you, We have stories, even in what we captured in our session and in our book, a political ecosystem designed to exclude, yeah? And we even had women saying, you're about to go on stage and someone is there touching your boobs. That disorients you already.
Yeah.
How many men go on stage and someone is trying to hold their balls? How would you even feel if someone does that and you're about to go on stage?
Yeah.
It already disorients you. And the fact that most of these things are normalized in politics, talk about even what we saw back then, even with Kidero and Shebesh, yeah? Where did that go? We have seen even powerful women being intimidated. Now, how about you, who's just trying to create a name in the political space? You're going to be collateral damage.
Which is then my question, as a people, as Kenyans, leave alone the political class, as Kenyans, have we re-engineered ourselves to say, women, tutapigia mwanamke because, they can deliver, leave alone how the political class or the politics has been designed. Are we as a people ready to elect women?
Not yet, because also of so many norms, whether it's cultural norms, it's social norms, and and if you look at even some of the counties in this country and how they fared on in the last election, we have about 6 counties that did not elect any woman except the woman representative. Any woman, like at the MCA level, at the MP level. Look at a county like Kajiado, look at a county like Nyamira. I think Kajiado has only 1 MCA, and no female MP, no any other woman elected, yeah, except the woman representative. Now, if we didn't have that affirmative seat, the counties that don't have women elected, they would not have any representation whatsoever from a woman. That's what we are saying. Like the whole county assembly, and is just full of men. So what does that mean? And why is that dangerous? Is because even when you look at some of the challenges we discussed in the society, they disproportionately affect women and children. So talk about teenage pregnancy, talk about gender-based violence, talk about human trafficking, talk about sex trafficking, talk about children trafficking, talk about the state of health in most of our county. Who bears the brunt of that? Now, you bear the brunt of the bulk of the issues in either your country or in your community, but there is no diversity in terms of thinking and what needs to be done at the assembly, where even budgets are being discussed, where we are saying, okay, we need to probably put a certain percentage of budget to look at this matter because of XYZ. Who's going to be there to represent you? Yeah? And so I think it is heavily, structural, cultural, culture and cultural and social norms, the intimidation in the space, but also the institutions that are supposed to do their job. Because the fact that we continue to normalize violence, you saw what happened the other day, and people are just discussing it. Or a politician goes to a church and they're trying to even throw tear gas in the church. Now imagine for you're trying to make your name because you've escorted this politician, and you're running under their party. You're going to be collateral damage, because at least for them they'll be evacuated because they have a name in this country. When the security forces are sent in, they'll evacuate them the first. They'll be the first people to be evacuated. What about you? What will happen to you? As you're trying to leave that particular space. So it's just not entirely on the citizen, but that even the institutions mandated to do their job, even within the political parties. How many political parties have sexual harassment policies? So that you can feel confident to say, you know what, this particular person harassed me, and they'll be called in, and there'll be a disciplinary committee to deal with that. So if you can't even resolve that at the political party level, how are you going to resolve it with a supporter for that party out there who's trying to intimidate you? You see, so I think it's multifaceted. Everyone has to play their role.
So has the political space matured? Because if we're still having conversations today about how a woman looks or how whatever, as opposed to what she can then deliver in terms of governance and leadership, seems to me that we're still neonates. If we're still having that conversation beyond and not able to go beyond that. And how we can see the evidence of this is that if a woman is concerned about who might do what to her if she goes to a rally, or who might make some lewd remarks about her if she's trying to get into the space, then it seems as though we're still very far off from the mark when it comes where people are having people are having world organizations headed by women. We have countries that are being led by women. We and if they have to deal with that, it surely doesn't show on the face of it. That if the question Dennis asked where he says, are we ready to bring in women into significant places in leadership without this tag that, well, either she slept or is going to sleep with somebody to be able to get herself into that position, or has to be willing to put herself up, because these are the real conversations that we're having. When are we going to be able to divorce ourselves from that thing whereby we have to bring in that aspect of things as opposed to what somebody can actually deliver when it comes to leadership and governance?
You know, and if you just allow me to give you a bit of data, one of the striking things that we were questioning together with Dr. Katinde from Longview Futures Foundation, one of the things that we were questioning, number one, is the number of women who get to run for office. Yeah, so we had to look at that data and look at that data from 2 elections backwards. Yeah? So we analyzed data from 2017 and we also analyzed data from 2022. And if you look at that data, it will tell you that we are not making significant improvements because we had 16,100 candidates on the ballot in 2022. So whether you are running for the presidency or you're running for MCA, that was the total number of candidates that we had on the ballot. Guess how many were women? Please take a guess, both of you. How many were women?
Out of how many?
Out of 16,100 candidates who ran for office, from the presidency to the MCA, whether you're running for independent, as an independent candidate, or you are, running under your party.
500?
Take a guess.
I'd say 150.
Actually, it can be.
Because I just did 47.
No, so we had about 2,000. So it was 1,962.
Okay.
So
Out of
it means,
16,100.
so it means we had 14,000 men on the ballot versus 2,000. So even when I had you talk about the 2/3, there's no way we would have achieved 2/3 even if all those women were elected. There's no way. Even if all of them were elected, because we didn't even have 2/3 of that number running for office. Yeah. So it still tells you how far behind we are. And that's the question we even sort to ask ourselves. How is it that even with the investments we've put in, there's a lot of donor investment that has gone into training candidates to run for political office, we still have 11% of the 16,100 on the ballot. So where is the problem? And that's why we're asking all those questions. And that's why we're saying, if you don't diagnose the environment properly and treat the environment, then at the end of the day, I'll be running 1,000 meters behind someone who I'm competing with. Yeah.
So, you look at the situation that we're in today, and one would just pose to look at maybe the greatest enterprises that are being led by women in the country today, and they perform really, really well. So it has stopped being that a woman is not fit for that office. It's a question of, are we creating an environment that will allow women to shine, that will allow women to be at these tables? We'll talk about what the Constitution demands, right? But even now, as we speak, there is talk of we are unable to achieve the 2/3 gender rule. Perhaps we need to relook at the law and make it open for women to fight for these seats like any other man out there, And one then asks the question, as if we as a people are not ready to vote in for a woman, how then do we deal with that? How do we remove the stereotype that has existed for a very long time that women are not supposed to be in places? Women are there to be seen and not be heard. You know, we talk about agencies, we talk about the police ensuring that when a woman goes to a rally, that security is offered, because oftentimes it's at these rallies where police are there, but still women are being mistreated. So how do we deal with the problem? How do we instill it on Kenyans in the political class, to the agencies that are there, to ensure that women feel secured and that they would come out as well to just participate in these spaces?
You see, women are not asking for favors. Women are not asking for an environment to be created where they can shine. What women and young people are saying is that make the political environment neutral.
Yes.
Because as it is not neutral. And that is the problem. It is tilted towards a certain class. It is tilted towards people who benefit from a rotten status quo. So, if you're talking about the intimidation in this country, if you're talking about violence, we have candidates who plan with violence as a strategy, while you don't even have the capacity. We're not even planning with it. We're not planning with violence as your own strategy. But there's someone who, that is part of their strategy, to intimidate you and to edge you out. You know, that is part of their plan. So we are saying, we're not asking for favors. You know, just level the ground. When it comes to the gatekeeping, you saw in the last election, there was a lot of negotiated democracy, and many a times it was last minute. So you have done your work, and then 2 days to you hear we won't have the party primaries because the party has decided this is a person who's going to get the certificate, and you've already paid money. And let me tell you, it's pretty expensive, because if you're running for governor, depending on your party, you're paying $500,000. If you're running for MP, depending with your party, you're paying between 150 to 200,000. Yeah, if you're running for MP. Now imagine how many people have paid that, and then you hear there's no party primary, and you have been preparing your people, your voters, your supporters. Yeah, so we are saying that no one is asking for favors. Even young people are not asking for favors. Young people are saying, we have ideas, we just want to present our ideas, we have the courage to show up, but we don't want to show up and you minimize us this way or that way. Even the narratives that we have, they favor the political class, Even when you look at the portrayal of women, even in the media, you'll probably see a man being portrayed in a very powerful way as a speaker. But you see, the image you will see of a woman is either they are screaming, they are shouting, like it will be aggressive. They are very aggressive, because the space is not okay. So you're going to see that image, and that does something to you. Because you're consuming, you're consuming information, it does something to you. When it comes to the stereotypes that we're talking about, that's going to be the role of all of us. Even what we're doing right now is countering some of those stereotypes that we are talking about, And it can't also just be the work of the candidates who are interested, because most of the people, when it comes to engaging in political spaces, they're waiting for elections. For them, they feel like participating in politics is voting.
An election, right?
But there's so many things that are happening right now. Right now in this year, the candidates that you're going to vote for are being determined right now. So if you're waiting to vote come next year, which is 553 days away to the next election, if you're waiting to vote that particular time, the decision on who you're going to vote for is being made now. So what are you doing to ensure that the person who ends up on the ballot is the person you want to support? So it can't just be the role of CSO, it can't just be the role of the candidates. All of us have to play a role, because we've seen the decisions that are made by the political class are affecting all of us. Okay,
so unfortunately, if we look at the Kenyan space, the Kenyan political space, for women, that is it a sad thing that you can, off the top of your head, you can pinpoint the women in politics and leadership? You point them, you know them already. You can count them on your hands, maybe plus your toes, right? Is that a negative thing? Because then the question then would be beyond that. We can also then we already give them labels, and we deal with them on a regular basis. So we already know the labels that have been given to people like Martha Karua. We know the labels that have been given to Millie Odhiambo until she herself has called herself a bad girl because she's had to push and navigate through certain spaces in order to get where she is. Others have been labeled many different things, but they've gotten to the point where they had to stand out or then be gobbled up by the system. Is that a bad thing, or should that be a standout position?
I think it's a challenging thing. The fact that you have to go through all of that, because how many other people who are looking up to you have the capacity, the time, the resources to become that, you see. By the time someone is either adopting or embracing a label, that means it's taken time. So for me, who probably who looks up to either Millie or Martha, and you're saying Iron Lady, do I really want to be called an Iron Lady? Because I don't hear men being called Iron Man.
Except for the cartoon.
Called Man of Steel.
Sorry?
Except for the cartoon.
Oh yeah, except
for the cartoon.
Except for the cartoons, yeah. And also, why are you calling them Iron Lady? It's because you are associating them with some masculine tendencies. You see, I mean, we have so much power leading in our own femininity. Why do I have to embrace masculinity for you to accept me? Why do I have to embrace masculinity for you to listen to me? Why do I have to posture like a man or dress in some boring colors that are gray, or shave my hair to look a particular way, or not wear lipstick when I'm showing up in meetings? Because, you're probably going to call me a slay queen. Yet, I've been going to campus. I have braved my studies and excelled very well with the same lipstick that you're using to call me a slay queen. I have my own brain. Why do I have to tone down? And I have ideas that I want to present. I have something I can give, Why do I have to minimize my leadership ambition? Because it has to be accepted on your own terms. I think it's a challenging thing. And those are the narratives we also have to deconstruct so that people don't have to show up in a different way other than who they are, to be listened to or to be accepted. Yeah.
Okay. So in the space in which we are in currently, those narratives are not diminishing.
Yes.
If anything, they seem to be increasing. It was just this last year, unfortunately, that we still see women being used as objects. Come and perform on the stage and do whatever, I don't know, other lewd nonsense that we saw happening last year. And it seems to be accepted because guess what? The crowd goes yay. The crowd, which consists of men and women, goes yay, whereby you're performing whatever on stage for whomever, and then you have to ask yourself to connect the dots between that performance and what it has to do with governance and leadership and how you can move the needle forward. So is it that there is a mentality? There's a reason why I said men and women, because we often want to say, well, it's the men who think a certain way. Are women supporting the idea of women being leaders?
Women are supporting the idea of women being leaders. And I'll tell you what, and I'll tell you why. So when you look at the communities, the different communities where we are at, the people who mobilize are women, yeah. When you look at even the challenges you have, even if you're not in the political space or you're not running for office, you're probably in a chama where you're depending on fellow women to bail you out. Look at the power of chamas in this country. I mean, we work with chamas at Badili, and half the time, they have been able to resolve the problems in the community, whether it is on education. Like most of us were even brought up with chama money, from our own parents. Those were women stepping in for each other, to say, hey, your child, we're going to help pay school fees. Hey, we're going to help bail you out because of the hospital bill that you have. Again, that's a narrative. When we start advancing it in terms of women don't support women, women do support women half the time. But I think and do what we constantly have to invest in as well is narratives that we also engage with. Because you see, there will be people peddling. Look at the people who peddle that narrative that people don't support each other. Amen. You'll interview a man and they'll be like, no, but you women don't even support each other. It will be a man. But who's pushing back against that narrative? Because if I look at my own circle, even in my political career, career back then, if I look at the work that we do, it's women who are showing up every other day. Yeah. So we have to invest in different narratives, which will speak to the stereotypes that we're talking about, which will push back against those stereotypes. But even as we invest on those narratives, we still have to put investments on the structural issues. Look at the matter of, let's say, care work in this country. Because of the stereotypes that it's only a woman who's supposed to be a caregiver, a homemaker. Look at how much time you spend as a woman just to take care of your home and take care of your children. In fact, research in this country shows that women spend 4 to 5 hours on care work. Now, look at that and juxtapose that with a man who's running for office, and they don't have to give 4 or 5 hours to care work. So they're taking their time on research, they're taking their time to go talk to the citizens, they're taking their time to stay out with their friends or go and fundraise. But for you, your 4 to 5 hours are gone. So if you also don't invest in protection mechanisms, you're still going to have very ambitious and competent women lag behind because of these structural issues.
Okay. We're going to talk to Senator in just a minute, and I'm going to use this next question for you, Bina, as bait. A majority of the nominated senators in this country are women. Is it a card that we use to soften some of these friction areas that we've talked about for the last half an hour?
I don't think it's a card we use to soften, and I also don't think we should look down on affirmative seats. Like I just did give data before here. We have 6 counties that did not elect a woman. Now, and I said the women they elected were women representatives. That's an affirmative seat. Now, if you didn't even fill up the numbers of the nominated women that we currently see, just imagine the diversity in Parliament when it comes to fighting for priorities that affect the bulk of the people in this country, because the bulk of them are young people and women. 50% are women, over 60% are young people, but they're not represented in the leadership that we see, whether in Parliament, whether at the Assembly, whether at the Executive, whether at the Judiciary. So how are they going to talk about your priorities and you're not in the room? How? They're not going to do it.
Indeed.
And that's why it's very, very important that we don't even minimize the value of this seat. Do we have tokenism? Yes, we do have tokenism. Do we have challenges in how the nominations are done? Yes, we do have challenges in how the nominations are done. Should we stop nominating because of those challenges? No, we shouldn't stop until we achieve our agenda in terms of 50-50 representation in Parliament.
Okay.
Yeah. And Senator, then, one would ask the question in terms of nomination slots being looked at as a token, as what, we do not have enough women, so because we have this seat, we can give it to women to just soften the situation. As a nominated senator, what's the experience? And as we talk about tokenism, is it a favor? Or is it because I am here, I've showed up, and I can deliver?
Thank you first of all for having me, and my apologies for being late. I'm dealing with a lot right now. First of all, I don't consider nomination as tokenism, because from experience, there's the process of nomination is actually way better than an elective post. One, because you have to qualify for this position and apply for it, and then you have to thoroughly lobby for it. For the elective post, you just have to look for votes. It's straight up. And you also have to align yourself as a nominated for a nomination with the right political party. And let me tell you, the number of women, young women who apply for nominations is usually in thousands. For you to manage to become the chosen one is not a mean feat. There is a lot of conflict when it comes to who did what for the party. So you also have to prove that you actually deserved it. Because when it comes down to the top 5, the ones who are gazetted, the number 1 up to 3 or 5, they usually consider who did the most for the party. in my case, for example, I applied for the nomination under the minorities, and also as a youth to represent the youth. For the youth and the PWD seat, it's very competitive because it's only one person that can be picked by one side of the coalition. I had to do the most countrywide. I just didn't sit down and say, let me work for the Samburu community or the minority communities only. But I remember traversing the whole country, campaigning for my presidential candidate, who was then Raila Odinga. And everyone could see my work around Azimio. So when it came to the time they were making a choice, it was obvious who was to be there. Because I remember every time I was on the podium, it was to speak for the youth. Yeah. So I do not consider it a tokenism. I think I personally worked really hard for it. And so did many women and young men.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, as encouraging as that is to hear, from the conversation that we've had before your arrival, is that it still seems to be really difficult, this terrain, to navigate. I mean, you're a young woman leader in the country. You're a senator. It is, many scramble for it to then be able to offer up their services in that position. But it still seems to be ridden with quite a lot of challenges because you're a woman. Is it because you're a woman, or it's something else? What are some of those things that you see? I mean, we saw you in the news a couple of days ago after having been on the ends of some backlash. What was that all about? And does it feed into the narrative that these challenges still occur?
Yeah, unfortunately, our constitution is very beautiful on paper, but when it comes to reality, things are really tough for women leaders. The backlash I'm receiving is first and foremost because I'm a female. I happen to come to this earth as a female. And secondly, because I come from a patriarchal society where they are not used to women having a voice, despite many women having been elected before in these marginalized communities and patriarchal communities. So, the thing that was on the media the other day when I came out publicly to say that my life was in danger, I received a text message from a random number threatening me, very categorically stating that I should not dare vie for gubernatorial or senatorial seat because these seats are not for women, that I should go for women rep position, because if I dare go for the top seat, any top seat in the county, they are going to physically assault me, they are going to sexually assault me, and they mention in particular what they are going to do to me in details, and that they even were to carry out the mission the other Sunday, one Sunday ago, because I attended a burial ceremony of one of my uncles who passed away, and they told me that you actually narrowly escaped from an attack in that burial. And looking back at my time in politics, the person whom the goons confessed had sent them, I had no beef with this person. The only problem was that I'm a woman and that I won the seat. So it's not an easy thing. We are having problems as women, but the drama is what is a lot. The problems of this country, I think, are usually reduced into an online drama, such that when it comes to very serious issues like those, you have seen how the accused went to, or the suspect rather, went to do a press statement, and I don't know what he said he did a statement, I think, with the DCI, and I am the one who, I am the complainant. I did the statement before this person. The person went to do another statement, I don't know stating what, because I'm yet to go to DCI and see what the person wrote. But the amount of online drama that is going on in Samburu County blogs is immeasurable, because I've seen issues of a past I was trending the other day on media for an engagement that flopped, and I'm seeing now the issue being resuscitated just because someone has threatened my life and I went to report and I went public about it. Why did you go public about it? Because you're a woman, you're supposed to be quiet. I am supposed to behave as per what my culture dictates, that when a man speaks, I should look down, but I refused to do that and I decided to go against the grain. So because I had this complaint, other personal issues had to be resuscitated just to water down the threat that I'm currently facing.
I mean, being at these other stories of women every other day,
Yes.
you could count, you talk about Shebesh, you would go down and talk about Gloria Ruoba at the time when she was pushing the agenda on menstrual periods, and what happened in the National Assembly. That is, what are you doing? These things do not happen here, and men staying away. These are stories of female politicians every other day, including Millie Odhiambo saying, the reason why I'm like this, it's because I've seen it happen. When you unakuja ndio utanikuta, tutapigana, How is it working against women leadership in the country and women coming out and presenting themselves as the alternative, as women who deserve to be at the table? Because the Senate is not just
Senator
anyone.
here represents many other young women leaders who might not even come out. So even the courage to come out takes a lot. It takes a lot to come out, It takes a lot to go write a statement. It takes a lot to go back to your home and knowing you'll be safe in the next few days. There are people who don't even go back to their homes because people know where you stay. Your driver knows where you stay. Your bodyguard knows where you stay. You don't even know if they have been compromised, And that is her with the visibility that she has. Now imagine the many more women who do not have that visibility, the many more women who do not have that support. What are they facing? And then you have a visible leader coming out to talk about this and you minimize it. So the woman in the community, the campaigner that we work with, the mobilizer that we work with, where's recourse for them? Because they'll be looking at how the case for the senator is being treated and they're like, listen, first of all, I don't even sit in the Senate. I am not elected. The party does not even recognize who I am because I'm just a mobilizer in the community. Why would I actually go report this case against a very, very powerful person? Because as a senator will tell you, there are many more young women also harassed even during those rallies. When you're trying to go to County X to campaign for someone and it just ends there, like where do you report that? Like I said, if your own party does not have sexual harassment policy, if let's say there are no strict laws around the fact that we have really normalized violence in elections, because today it's so easy for us to really, maybe go to the street, or maybe if your partner has harassed you, we'll be there pushing for your partner to be arrested. So someone who's intimidated someone in politics, but we're not pushing for them to be arrested. But at home, in our own circles, in our own WhatsApp groups, in our own families, if your sister is being intimidated, if your sister has been beaten, you'll be the first one to drive there and be like, listen, what are you doing? You understand? But this normalization is excluding so many people because it means this was a burial that she attended, yeah? It wasn't even a rally, a burial. Your own family is there. Yeah. Like this is a family burial and you're not safe in your own family burial. So where are you safe? Where are you safe? If you can't go bury a loved one safely, not just as an elected leader, but as this is your uncle, okay? And you can't bury them safely. So what does that mean? And then people, like she said, she's trending on those groups.
Socials, yeah.
When you look at even our cybercrime act, and I know we have a bit of an amendment that was done, I think in 2024. But then, how does it capture these new forms of violation, these new forms of cybercrime acts? How does it capture it? So if today maybe someone shared my nudes, what evidence do I leave with the police as preservation? Like, how do they preserve this evidence?
Right.
If I was to go and report exactly that case and I'm just like, what? Look at all the threats I'm receiving here. Look at all the cases. Do citizens know what the process is like so that if something like that happens to you, you understand this is where I go. So I had her saying she went to the DCI. So do I go to the police station? Do I go to Central
what am I
Police?
saying?
Do I go to the DCI? Because for me, where I am located currently, the nearest police station is Central Police Station. Yeah. So do I go report there if something like that happens to me, or do I actually go straight to the DCI? Like, what is the procedure here? And did she go there because she's an elected leader, or because she was someone there? Why didn't she choose any other police station? Are you seeing how complex it is even when you just decide how am I going to step forward and handle this matter? And then you end up handling it on your own. But I can tell you, and I think, do you remember, because we had also invited you during our the Women Kingmakers film, majority of those women are collateral damage. Collateral damage, especially in election.
Right.
There'll be a stampede, you're a party mobilizer, something happens to you, even the party won't give a statement. I don't know if she's received any support from the party coming forward to say we shall not
Condone this.
tolerate this, we
Right.
shall not condole this. Maybe she will let us know. But if you don't see that visible support, it's going to discourage many more people from coming forward, because you're spending most of your time even responding on those WhatsApp group, and you should be spending time thinking about what do I need to do for my people, how can I improve the livelihoods of my people. But you're there figuring out, do I need to go out today, am I safe or am I not safe? Someone else is already going to meet the very, very women you want to empower. So I think there's so much that needs to be done, and this particular platform is very, very important, because we have to keep on highlighting these issues until something changes. And even and I just like to tell citizens that when sometimes we discuss these problems, it sounds like, oh my goodness, so why should young people run for office? It sounds like it's just too much. Why should women run for office if I'm going to face that? You have to run for office. We continue to engage in these places because we refuse exclusion as a normal thing. We refuse to leave the political environment to remain as is because we refuse to engage. And so we continue to engage because we have to shift the conversation. We continue to engage because we refuse to deal with politics as is, as normal, yet we know it's excluding so many people. We refuse to engage with violence as a strategy in election. And it's so important for you to bring even more people on this particular platform, And I know you did say that sometimes the challenge is even the women, like are not showing up. I mean, there are so many women with networks out here. We are happy to share all our networks. We are happy to recommend, just reach out. We're happy to recommend. There are many people who want these platforms to come and share what are their solutions even at the community level. What needs to be done? There are many brilliant people who can grace this platform powerfully, and give solutions. And now it's up to the institutions to implement those solutions, whether it's IEBC level, whether it's at ORPP level, whether it's at political party level, whether it's at media level, whether it's at the citizen level, whether it's at academia level. Yeah.
Indeed. Our time doesn't allow us to engage much further than that. But Senator, just a final word from you. Do you think that with all of this, would you still vie in the next position, in the next election?
Actually, I am ready for a fight. I'm going to vie again for that specific seat that they have been warning me not to vie for. And first of all, I am an introvert who decided to go to politics. Now you can imagine how much fight I'm putting up. I realized if I don't do it, because I feel like I have the call to do it, if I don't do it and open the path for other women, then we will continue facing these same issues 100 years later. So it's up to us who are now in those positions of power and influence to be able to fight, ensure that we are not backing down, not just for us, but for the women after us. But at the center of all this is also the need to regulate the social media spaces. Social media contributes a lot to watering down progresses that have been made by women, by parliaments, by organizations and institutions. And you see social media, they are the ones who try to sway a narrative. Once a woman trends for the wrong reasons, it waters down all the efforts she has made, all the progress she has made over the years. And so there is a strong there is need to regulate the social space very strongly.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Nominated Senator Hezena Lema Letian and Executive Director of Badili Africa, Bina Maseno. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're going to take you up on that challenge.
Please.
And looking forward to the next conversation. Thank you very much. It's 3 minutes past 9. More conversations continue. Asante Sana for doing this. Good morning.
Thank you.
The latest news from around the world. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
5 bob, this